What is up? What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Everybody, happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of Women's Basketball Weekly, your weekly source for all things related to women's basketball. And in this one, we got a whole lot of WNBA to talk about, okay? We're going to talk about the game that is still getting talked about by everybody, the game that happened yesterday between the Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury. It was Caitlin Clark versus Diana Taurasi. And lots of people have lots of thoughts about it, and we're going to talk about it, okay? We're also going to talk about the Commissioner's Cup and who won that game, and how the Minnesota Lynx are still surging, even though they did have an unexpected loss. I'm going to talk about the return of the point guard in Chelsea Gray and how she is helping the Las Vegas Aces get back on track. We're going to give a little bit of an update on the Connecticut Sun's recent skid. We are going to also talk about, Angel Reese and what Angel Reese is doing, how she is leading the WNBA in rebounds, and now how she actually has an official fan name. So, Reese's Pieces, anyone? Anyway, guys, lots of stuff to talk about and more in this week's edition of Women's Basketball Weekly. So, before we get underway, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tell a neighbor, tell a friend that Women's Basketball Weekly is live. Let's go. And we begin with Caitlin Clark versus Diana Taurasi. Now, this was the game that a lot of people wanted to talk about. This was a proven game, I would say. So, if you all remember, in the off season before the WNBA season started, we saw Diana Taurasi make some comments about the rookies, and to paraphrase what she said, she basically said, like, "Hey, it's coming. It is absolute, like, reality is coming for a lot of the incoming rookies. What you did in college is not the same that you did. You can't do the same thing, really, that you did in college in the WNBA. It's a whole different league." And people took that, spun it, made it seem like Diana was attacking Caitlin in particular. And it was on from there. It was absolutely on from there. It was Diana Taurasi versus Caitlin Clark, and the idea that Diana's old and is a hater because she said reality is coming, when indeed reality is coming, but it is coming for Diana Taurasi. That was what some folks were saying, and other people were like, "Hey, Diana's right. She was a rookie once, 19 a long time ago, a long time ago she was a rookie." And she knows what she's talking about, and reality is coming for Caitlin and the other rookies. And we go into this game, one of the most anticipated games of the year, not in terms of talent versus talent, because if that's the case, both of these teams would be way higher in the standings. It was all about sort of the ancillary things other than basketball. It was Diana Taurasi, the player who is 19 years older than Caitlin Clark. It was her facing the young great. It was the old head versus the youngster. And personally, I absolutely loved it. Now, here's one thing that I think a lot of people were thinking, like a lot of people who don't pay that much attention to WNBA, they were thinking that that Diana was like really, anti Caitlin, and she clarified that in the, not that she needed to necessarily clarify, but she did clarify in the post game about her being happy for Caitlin and yada yada. But ultimately, reality came yesterday, and the reality came for the Phoenix Mercury. When it came down to it, both Diana and Caitlin had good games. Caitlin definitely had a way better game. Caitlin almost became the first rookie ever to have a triple-double. Almost. She was 1 rebound shy from getting that title, which I thought was pretty awesome. The fact that she was even that close. And it just shows, again, what the value of what like Caitlin Clark offers to her team. So yeah, we're gonna get to the actual game in just a sec. I just want to keep talking about these players for just a sec longer, and then we're gonna get on to the actual game and what happened. Spoiler alert: the Phoenix Mercury loss. But the thing that I really liked about the battle between Caitlin and Diana is that it was just all love. It really was. It was all love in this game, and we saw it from this shot. Like, look at the shot. This happened pregame. Both Diana went over and Caitlin Clark. Diana went over to hug Caitlin Clark. Also, BG Brittany Griner came over as well. And I thought it was cool. Like I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, they did what I thought they were gonna do. You know, it's all love. You know, no one's hating on anybody. And it was from the get-go. You know, we saw Diana kind of do her thing. She did finish with 19 points in this game. But the youngster got the final laugh because Caitlin Clark ended up finishing the game with 15 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. Again, guys, she was so close to a triple-double in that game. MA says Coach Sides benched her at the end of the game. She would have gotten that rebound for a triple-double. Well, it was said in the post-game presser that Caitlin did not feel well. So, I actually think it was a good thing that Caitlin Clark was not in the game, late in the game, because, again, she supposedly she was not feeling well. And I believe that. Like, you know, it wasn't like she looked bad at the end of the game, but, you know, she looked tired for sure. So supposedly Caitlin wasn't feeling well. I believe that. And I think that's why she was not in the game at the end of the game. All right. Candy says 42 is old on which planet? In basketball, in the world of basketball, yeah, it's old. Candy, you gotta admit, 42 is old in the world of basketball. You gotta admit it. But to me, I thought this game was pretty awesome. I thought it was awesome to see the old versus the new. And to me, in some ways, it kind of was, you know, a passing of the torch of sorts of this dynamic player in Diana Taurasi, you know, a player who has been in the league for forever, a player who is literally 19 years older than Caitlin Clark right now. And it was her sort of passing the torch, Diana, in terms of like her being like the big deal in women's basketball. You know, it was kind of her passing the torch to Caitlin Clark. That's kind of how I felt the game kind of was. And like with Diana's comments after the game, it just sort of felt like, Diana, reality has come for a lot of people. It has come for the rookies who have realized that the WNBA is way more physical than it ever was. And they realize that, like, you know, you can't do exactly what you did in college in the WNBA, whether that's passing the ball, whether that's scoring, you know, whatever that is, it's very, very different. You know, and reality is coming for, you know, the vets who have been playing basketball for a long time. You know, you can't always do what you used to do. You know, Candace Parker is one of the ones who said it best. You know, there were plays that happened where, you know, she was like, man, if I felt better, I would be cooking this girl, but I can't. Because, you know, I'm older and I can't do as like what I used to do. So reality is coming for everybody. Reality is here for everybody. Okay. So that's kind of what I love about this battle. It kind of was a passing of the torch, in my opinion. But, you know, Diana Taurasi still got it, you know, let her tell it. I mean, she did have 19 points in this game, so she did well. She's playing in the Olympics this upcoming year. And, you know, we'll see if this is indeed the last year for Diana Taurasi. So we're going to see. All right, guys. All right. Roderick says, I would love to see Diana get a farewell tour. I could see her as a player who would want a farewell tour. And because she hasn't announced it, maybe she's going to announce it after the Olympics. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see if she announces her retirement after the Olympics. And guys, just so you all know, I think Debbie Antonelli was on the call yesterday, and she was talking about Clarkonomics, and Clarkonomics is real. Whether or not you want to admit it or not, it is very much indeed real. We saw 17,000 plus show up and show out in Phoenix to watch the Indiana Fever take on the Phoenix Mercury. To me, I always find it awesome when I see fans show up in like big numbers to watch a game, and Caitlin Clark is really leading the league, and the Indiana Fever are really leading the league in terms of fans coming out, opposing fan groups coming out to watch this game happen. The attendance for last night's game was 17,071. So there's a lot of people who showed up to watch this game. All right, so we talked about the DT versus Caitlin aspect of this game. Now let's actually talk about the game itself, okay? Let's talk about the game itself. The game between the Phoenix Mercury and the Indiana Fever. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this game is because, one, if you don't know, the Indiana Fever beat the Phoenix Mercury 88-82. And to me, this game, in my opinion, definitely took Christy Side's head off the chopping block. Okay? That's what I would say. Because I thought the game plan that the Indiana Fever made and the timely timeouts really did help this team get the victory. Okay, so let's kind of talk about it. Okay, so the game starts and Phoenix is on it. Phoenix has their foot on the gas. They're doing well. We see Brittany Griner get touches early. We saw Kalia Copper hit a crazy 3-point shot. We saw this Phoenix Mercury team look like the normal Phoenix Mercury team, and they look pretty fantastic. They got off to a 17-4 run to start off the first quarter. They looked very, very good. And then it was 14-2. The Indiana Fever call a timeout. And then it was sort of like, it felt like a reset of sorts. Chrissy Sides took a timeout, whatever they discussed, and we saw the Fever start making some changes. They started scoring bucket after bucket after bucket. And then by the time we reached the end of the first quarter, it's not looking that bad. Instead of losing 17-4, now it's 26-20. 6-point game at the end of the first quarter. And I thought it was pretty nice. So I'm going to talk about the Mercury and what they did well, and then we're going to talk about Phoenix and like how I thought that they kind of messed up in this game, I should say. All right, so again, we see this Indiana Fever team call a timeout, start making their way back. It was spurred on also by the fact that this Phoenix Mercury team just couldn't really hit shots. We saw, if you watch the Phoenix Mercury, you know that Kalia Copper is their main scorer. She scores a whole lot of points every single game, and she was off last night. Absolutely, positively off last night. And that was a huge issue for this Phoenix Mercury team. And the Indiana Fever took advantage of it. They absolutely took advantage of it. One of the things we also saw in this game was that, there was a lot of fouls. There was a whole lot of foul calls in this game. And you know, we saw BG actually get to the line quite a bit in this game. She got to the line 5 times, made 8 out of 10 on her free throws. But so yes, fouling was a thing, but I felt like it was pretty bad on both sides. But yeah, Brittany Griner, you know, she was fouled at times, and she got the foul call every single time. Did the refs call a perfect game? No, but overall, I would say this was a really good game for the referees. I didn't see anything too egregious in terms of it benefiting one team and not the other. So that was the first quarter, 26-20. We go into the second quarter, and Phoenix kind of ensure that they get back the lead. So we see the second quarter start. This Indiana Fever team is roaring. You know, we see Timmy Fagbenle get in the game, make a bucket. It was a particular speed to start the second quarter. It was a sequence where the Phoenix Mercury get a turnover. Caitlin Clark, court vision, has her eyes up, finds Aaliyah Boston, gets the score, and Phoenix come down again. They miss the shot. Caitlin comes down, passes the dart to Timmy Fagbenle, makes the bucket, and it's a 2-point game, 24-26. And I'm like, okay, well, all right. We see the Indiana Fever kind of getting into this game and really making this game. And we see that this Fever team, they were making some runs. Phoenix, they ended up coming back. Brittany Griner, or Dinah Taurasi, Shug Sutton scoring some buckets. It's sort of like a back and forth battle between the Fever and the Phoenix Mercury. And then we sort of head to the end of the quarter, where once again the Phoenix Mercury end up extending kind of a lead in there, and they come into the halftime with a score of 49-38. Now, here's some of the things that I noticed about the Phoenix Mercury that is not that different to what they normally do, but I think a lot of people were seeing it for the first time. One is we saw Natasha Cloud, who is the point guard for this Phoenix Mercury team. We saw her playing a 5 or a 4 on defense. There were a lot of times in this game where she was guarding Aaliyah Boston and guarding Nalissa Smith. And if you're wondering, like, hey, why in the world was a point guard guarding a post player? Well, the reason why is because it's the way that the Phoenix Mercury play defense. They literally switch. They switch on everything. And when it comes to the Indiana Fever, we see a lot of screens where Aaliyah Boston gives a screen to Caitlin Clark, and then she rolls. And you don't want to put Brittany Griner kind of in that situation, because Griner's going to get in foul trouble real hard. So what you do is you put Natasha Cloud. You put Natasha Cloud, against the 4 or the 5. That way, Brittany Griner can kind of stay out of foul trouble a little bit, not have to guard the most active post player on the other team, and it works out. Like this is a thing that the Phoenix Mercury have been doing for a while now. This is not the first game that they've been doing it. So, for those people who are shocked, I just want to let you know that this is not out of the ordinary for the Indiana Fever. It's not. They've been doing it for a while, and the reason why is because, for the most part, Natasha Cloud is really, really good at moving her feet, and really good at guarding larger players, and that's what she did yesterday. That is absolutely what she did yesterday. And I just wanted to sort of let you all know who were confused about that yesterday. That's why the whole purpose for the Phoenix Mercury doing that is to keep Brittany Griner from getting in foul trouble. That's the purpose. When you look at the Phoenix look at the Phoenix Mercury versus any team in the WNBA, they usually do this. All right, they usually do this. When you see, you don't really see Brittany Griner on the best post of the opposite team very often. You're not really going to see it, or the most active post, I should say. And the reason why is because if she does, Brittany Griner is going to get in foul trouble, and she's going to be on the bench. So Nate Tibbetts was like, you know what? Let's put Tosh Cloud on the post player, or sometimes you see Sophie Cunningham on a post player. There were times where I believe we were in the game. I believe that was the third or the fourth quarter, where Brittany Griner was out, and we saw Sophie Cunningham and Natasha Cloud on both Aaliyah Boston and Melissa Smith. And that's something that Nate Tibbetts does. Like it's not a bad strategy because a lot of times it does work for the Phoenix Mercury. It's not a bad strategy at all, even though they do end up with the loss. So again, we go into halftime with the Phoenix Mercury having a pretty sizable lead on the Indiana Fever. And we go into the third quarter. And guys, there was a huge difference between the first half and the second half in this game. There was a gigantic difference because we saw this Indiana Fever team pick up the pace. They were picking up the pace in transition scoring. They were picking up the pace in terms of Caitlin finding the open man and them making the shot once they got it. And we saw better defense by the Indiana Fever. It was a mix of better defense and also a mix of this Phoenix Mercury team just not hitting the shots they needed to hit. Like there were a lot of missed shots by players, and I'm just like, man, like what's going on? Y'all are off today. Y'all are absolutely off. But there's one particular play that I thought was the game changer, the real game changer in this game. It was actually it was kind of two that it happened in the third quarter. So, and also, guys, we're gonna get into like the flagrant fouls and technicals and all that stuff in just a hot second, okay? I do just want to get through the meat and potatoes of the game, and then we're gonna move on to that as well. All right, so we head into the third quarter. It's looking pretty tight, where initially the Phoenix Mercury had the lead. We saw Indiana kind of claw their way back, but there was a swing. There was a momentum swing that happened in this game. It was around like the 5-minute mark. We see Caitlin Clark pull up, get a logo 3. All right. Beck Allen for the Fever, she makes a bucket. It goes back to the Indiana Fever, and Caitlin Clark, great pass to Chrissy Wallace, bucket. All right. Phoenix is discombobulated. The score at that time was 50, Indiana 55, Phoenix Mercury, and it kind of felt like that was sort of the momentum changer. All right, even though Nate Tibbetts calls a timeout, it doesn't do anything because the Phoenix Mercury, they immediately turn the ball over when they get it in bounds, and ball goes to Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston makes a layup. The game is kind of closing in. Phoenix can't do nothing again on their end. Indiana gets the ball. Again, Aaliyah Boston gets a great pass by Caitlin Clark. Score 54-55. And then Kelsey Mitchell was like, yep, I'm back, y'all. You ain't got to worry about me. 2 back-to-back 3-point shots by Kelsey Mitchell. And after that, it was kind of like, whoo, they got the momentum. We heard the crowd going crazy. And I have to tell you, man, if I was a Phoenix diehard fan, I would have probably been annoyed at that point, because I was like, the Indiana Fever had all the momentum at that point. It was like they were able to get quality stops for the Phoenix Mercury, and then when Indiana got the ball, they were able to convert. In the first half, it was a lot of players doing a thing. In the second half, y'all, Kelsey Mitchell was like, yeah, I'm here, y'all. I am absolutely, positively here. She scored nothing in that first half. She scored nothing in that first half, and in the second, yeah, it was about Kelsey Mitchell doing her thing, and they keep the momentum to the end of that third quarter. Going to the fourth quarter, again, they keep that momentum, though the Phoenix Mercury do get back in the game, and they get a brief lead for a hot second. And once again, the Indiana Fever start clawing their way back. Katie Lou Samuelson makes a 3-point bucket. Aaliyah Boston makes a 3-point bucket. Both of those on Caitlin Clark passes, might I add. And, the Fever had the momentum. And it was close to the end of the game. Couple seconds left to go. We saw the Phoenix Mercury, they were down 3 points, 3 points. 85, Indiana, 82, Phoenix. And the Mercury call a timeout. And we actually hear the play. We hear the play that Nate Tibbetts is drawn up for the Mercury. All right. Tosh takes the ball out, gets it to Brittany Griner. They were supposed to do a handoff, and then they were supposed to have like 2 or 3 options to go from there. Either Brittany Griner's cut into the basket for a quick layup, or they're looking for a 3. But they had time. It was 19.2 seconds left in the clock. All right, 19.2 seconds. Nate Tibbetts calls a timeout, draws up a play. All right, break. Let's get ready for the play. All right, ball goes to Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner turns, not for the handoff. I think she was confused about what was what exactly the play was. She turns. Tosh was trying to get the handoff. Ball ends up. They both collide into each other. Brittany Griner and Natasha Cloud. They both collide. The ball gets hit off of Natasha Cloud's foot, it seems, and ball ends up popping up, going to, I believe it was Erica Wheeler, and then the game was over from there. And it was just like, man, like it was a wasted opportunity. All that time drawing up a play, and nope, nothing. All right, and that was the ball game. They ended up being fouls, made free throws, and then the game was over. All right. Yeah, she was Michaela, but that wasn't in the play for her to dribble. It was supposed to be for her just to do a handoff. And Tosh was getting close to her because Tosh was trying to get the handoff without anybody stealing it. And then, boom, it happens, and, it's over from there. But guys, there is one aspect about this game that I have not talked about, and I want to talk about. It was the sheer amount of times that the referees went to the scorer's table to review a play. I believe it was 4 times that this happened. Where Brittany Griner looked like she was trying to go after Aaliyah Boston. Why? I don't know. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I don't believe that was called a flagrant. I don't believe it was. We saw two technicals on both teams. The offset, I believe that was in the first half when there was a little bit of a scuffle. Both teams were going into their huddles, and maybe there was word said or something like that. Get a little scuffle here and there. There was technicals that offset on that one. There was another time where I believe it was Nalissa Smith who I'm trying to remember exactly what she did to get that foul. Oh, she elbowed Nalissa Smith elbowed Diana Taurasi. She elbowed Diana Taurasi in. I can't exactly remember if that was the first half or the second half, but Diana was rolling off. Nalissa does that. She does get a flagrant 1 for that one, and there was another call in the game as well. I can't exactly remember what that was. I think Natasha Cloud got a flagrant 1 as well. So that was that was definitely something. There seemed to be a lot of annoyance on Brittany Griner's part for against Aaliyah Boston. Like, Aaliyah Boston was just doing her normal work, and we saw Brittany Griner was upset. Because, y'all, the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize about Aaliyah Boston is a solid player. She really is. She is a extremely solid player that you're not gonna really move her like that. And she's gonna stand her ground, and she's gonna be like, "Hey, I didn't do nothing. I'm just playing basketball." So, that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. But anyway, guys, that's kind of my recap of this game. Ultimately, I thought it was a fun one. Again, it was sort of the passing of the torch between the Indiana Fever and their sort of newer talent, and the Phoenix Mercury and their sort of older talent. I thought it was a fun game, but ultimately, when it came down to it, Chrissy Sides and her game plan of getting in transition fast. Like that's how you're going to win this game. You're going to win this game off of scoring the ball really quickly. In terms of fast break points, the Indiana Fever had 20 fast break points in this game. That was the key. Get in transition, run the ball, and score. And that's exactly what the Indiana Fever did. Because when you look at this Phoenix Mercury team, they are a good squad. They really are a good squad. But they rely a lot on Kalia Copper getting it done for them. She really is the player who sort of like gets them going. And she was struggling. And when you run this Phoenix Mercury team, they can't really keep up like that. They can't. And it was pace. That's how you're gonna win this game. And that's exactly what they did. So in my opinion, my question to you all is the people who were all, trying to get Chrissy Sides fired. What do you think now? Because I thought she had a good game plan. I thought she had a really good game plan in this game. Transition, screen and roll action, and then it seemed like she made a very, very particular point in that third quarter to get Kelsey Mitchell going. It felt like it was a real point to get Kelsey Mitchell going and have her sort of be able to carry the team the rest of the way. And to me, I thought it was pretty awesome. Like I thought it was a really good game plan. So yeah. Donna says the Fever only won because Copper had an off game. I mean, yeah, Clea Copper did have a really off game. She really did. But just because Clea Copper has an off game does not mean the Fever exactly take advantage of it. So to me, again, I am not on that train of her being fired, but I know a lot of people are, including some of y'all who are watching. So I'm just saying. Will, thank you so much for the super chat, says, anyone going to Dallas versus Atlanta Friday? I am. That's awesome, Will. I hope you have an awesome time at that game. Guys, if you're going to that game, let Will know. Let Will know in the chat if you all plan on going to the Dallas versus Atlanta game on Friday. All right. Okay. I mean, goodness rated, Caitlin didn't feel well. So I'm just, so, you know, I think that was kind of, I think that's kind of why. She showed, Dave, Caitlin really did wear, like, yes, that was definitely a thing. Yes. We saw it early in the game where Kalia Copper was chasing Caitlin everywhere, and was trying her best to keep up. And maybe all of that effort on defense, maybe it did affect the offense. We'll see. Who knows? All right, guys. From one rookie conversation to another rookie conversation. Let's talk about Angel Reese, ladies and gentlemen. So, Angel Reese has made some history in this past week. And I want to talk about what she has been able to do in the WNBA, because to me, I believe it is very, very, very unique, and I believe it's something that a lot of people really aren't talking about, and we should. We absolutely should. And it's the fact that Angel Reese is in the history books forever as a rookie. Angel Reese has been getting double-doubles, all season so far. She is now the record holder for the most consecutive double-doubles in a single season. All right. Consecutive. Most rebounds in WNBA history not most double-doubles, consecutive double-doubles in a single season. She's at 10 right now. She's at 10 straight double-doubles. And there was a lot of talk about Angel Reese and, would her game translate, and like would this work out for her? Will she be a good player? Will she just get her own rebounds off of her misses? Like, is that the full of her game? Is she actually going to be good? Is she going to be trash? Like, what's going to happen with Angel Reese? There was a lot of people that were not thinking that she was going to be good. And she comes into the season and now is the first player in WNBA history, to ever record 10 consecutive double-doubles. Okay? She was, before yesterday's game against the Minnesota Lynx, she was in a tie with Candace Parker for the most consecutive double-doubles. Candace had 9. It was her and Candace, Angel and Candace, which is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal name to be surrounded by, Angel and Candace. That's pretty awesome. That record that Candace had with 9 consecutive double-doubles, she actually did that in 2015 when she was with the LA Sparks. And now we see Angel Reese, first player ever to make that happen. And it's pretty awesome to see. Another thing to note is that, Angel Reese, not only can she get double-doubles, she's also on pace right now to become to have the record for the most offensive rebounds in a single season. Okay? And yeah, that's something to note. Okay? As of right now, Angel Reese has 81 offensive rebounds. Okay? In 17 games. 81 offensive rebounds in 17 games. If she hits that, she will, if she continues to do that, I should say, for the rest of the season, she is going to break The current record is 162 offensive rebounds in a single season. That was set by fantastic WNBA vet Yolanda Griffith. She set that in 2001. Again, 162 offensive boards in a season. Angel Reese is probably going to hit that. If she stays healthy for the rest of the season, again, she has 81 offensive rebounds in 17 games. She keeps that up, she's going to have 190 before the year is over. And and here's the thing that I really want to say is, well, one, if you don't know, Angel is averaging 13.5 points a game, 11.1 rebounds a game. She's also averaging 1.6 steals a game, which is actually leading her team in that aspect. Here's the thing. There's a huge narrative, and Angel has played into that, especially in her college college career, of course. It is what I just saw a comment. It's what this person is saying. So Angel 86 Carrillo says 81 offensive rebounds from her missed shots. Now this is a narrative that is out there, and it's a huge narrative out there. And I'm going to absolutely say this. Yes, Angel Reese is the most skilled player I've ever seen play the game of women's basketball that can miss a shot in a way that she can angle herself for her own offensive board and score. So absolutely, Angel Reese, if there was a stat for getting your own rebound, Angel Reese would be leading in that stat right now. Absolutely. Okay. But it is a false narrative and a complete lie to say that the majority of her rebounds are from her missed shots. They're not. They're absolutely not. In this last game, yes, there was a good amount of her rebounds. There was a good amount of her rebounds that she got. Okay, but the idea that the only reason she's leading the WNBA rebounds is because she keeps missing. That is not true. Okay, it's not true. It is absolutely not true. If you actually watch her games, actually watch her Sky, actually watch them play, watch her games, you will see that the majority of her offensive rebounds are from her teammates missing a shot. In this last game, yes, there were quite a few of those rebounds that she got off of her own misses in this last game against the Minnesota Lynx, because there were several times where there were fouls and they didn't call it, and she's a rookie, so she's not going to get calls like that. But the idea that the majority of the ones she gets rebounds for are her own rebounds, it's not true. It's not. It's really not. Ace Goated says ESPN Analytics states she averages 1.6 rebounds a game off of her own misses. 1.6 rebounds a game off of her own misses. That's not bad. Like, again, guys, in college, I feel like she did it a lot more. I feel like she did it a whole lot more, where it felt like she would intentionally miss to get a rebound, and it wasn't even like the majority of her rebounds in college were from her misses. It's just that she did it more. It's a false narrative that's saying that the majority of her rebounds are from her own misses. It's just not true. It's not necessary, and I don't understand it. Like it say you're not watching her game without saying you're not watching her game. That's what this is. All the people who are saying that she only has all those rebounds because she misses a shot. It's not true. It's not. And if it was true, I would say it. If it was true, I would say it, but it's not true. Okay? Again, she is very skilled at getting her own rebound. She really is. She is very, very skilled at that. And that's a rare talent. Rare talent. But the majority of the ones are not from her own rebounds. Her own misses, I should say. Repeat Tour says Angel is midseason rookie of the year. What do y'all think in the comments? Right now, I would actually say it's for me, it's like a relative tie in my head. It's a relative tie in my head between Angel and Caitlin. And we'll see. We'll kind of see who kind of exceeds that, okay? Book of Beat, thank you so much for the super chat, says she's going to have to learn how to navigate being a threat now. They're sending doubles at her like crazy. Yeah. If you all watched that Minnesota Lynx game, there were some doubles that was sent to Angel Reese when she caught the ball. They wasn't gonna let her work like that. Like it was on the scouting report that, hey, you better watch out for Angel Reese because she can score down low. So when she gets the ball and starts dribbling, let's put a double on her. Let's put a double. So yeah. I think it's pretty awesome to see. I think Angel Reese is playing really, really well. I think there's a lot of people who maybe don't really watch the games like that, or intentionally try to alter stats to make it seem like she is like terrible and whatnot, and how she just misses shots all the time and whatnot, and it's just not true. I mean, she misses shots to get her own rebound, and it's not true. Of course she misses a lot of shots. Yeah, absolutely, she does. Like I don't think that's a secret at all. I don't think that's a secret at all. But she's playing some great basketball, especially for a rookie, and that's something that should be talked about. I think it's a good thing. I think she's playing well, and if you don't like her, that's fine. But to lie and say the majority of her rebounds is from her missing shots, it's just not true. All right. So I just wanted to say that because I don't understand why people feel like they have to do that. It is very, 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 very unnecessary in my opinion. And so, yeah. All right, that's my commentary, y'all. That's my commentary about that, okay? Yeah, that's my commentary about that. Betsy says she also draws a lot of fouls. These fouls lead to her miss. She tries to draw a lot of fouls, and sometimes she does get those foul calls against her or against the other team. This past game, she didn't really get any fouls called against, not many, against Minnesota. Though she did get that foul at the end of the game to actually get another point. She had 9 points, and she was this close. She was this close to getting a double. And when it was seconds left to go, Minnesota fouled her. She went to the line. And the game was over. The game was absolutely, absolutely over. And, she made a free throw. And it was cool to see. It was absolutely cool to see. William says, let me ask this question. Is to everyone, is it possible to like both players without being biased? I think so. I am a huge fan of both players. Like I am. Like me and my mom, we literally went to Iowa to watch Caitlin Clark play. I love to see Caitlin Clark play. I think she really is the future of women's basketball, and I love what she's doing for the game. And I love what Angel Reese is doing. I think Angel Reese was a great player in college, She's turning out into a very, very great pro. Yes, it's extra brownie points for her because she plays for my favorite team, the Chicago Sky. Full disclosure, I am a Chicago Sky fan. But even without that, even if she played for another team, it's like what she is doing has never been done. Again, guys, 10 consecutive double-doubles. Literally, no one has ever done that in the WNBA. And I think you have to talk about that. You have to talk about that. You have to acknowledge that because no one's ever done it. Yes, absolutely. Caitlin Clark is putting up is doing some amazing stuff with her stats as well, and she's doing some stuff that no one's ever done before. But I feel like there's not a lot of people talking about what Angel Reese is doing, and it's not about this isn't a whataboutism type of thing. It's just I do want to give Angel Reese her flowers for what she is doing. Yes, her field goal percentage is low. Yes, she has to work on that. Absolutely, she has to work on that. It is very low, and very low for a post player in particular. But she has a motor that doesn't quit, and she's going to be fine in the end. Caitlin Clark, she has a lot of turnovers. Is it a lot? Yes, a lot of turnovers. And not all of those turnovers that Caitlin Clark gets, not all of them is because of a teammate dropping a pass. Yes, a good amount of those are from teammates dropping passes. That's true. But I would say it's closer to 50-50. 50% of those turnovers seem to be opportunities that she thought was like open and players get their hands in the passing lanes and end up being a turnover. And 50% of those is her teammates just dropping the ball. I think I think it's reasonable to call out certain stuff that we see without trying to attack someone or like whatever. So I'm just saying, I think we can enjoy this game. I think we can call out particular stuff. I think we can congratulate certain players, and not hate anybody. So I don't know. That's my vibe here. That is my vibe here. To just really kind of call it how I see it. Rigor Mortis says stats show it's 80% her teammates. Can you share those stats? I am happy to be wrong on that. Okay. But it again, that's from what I see. I've watched I watched I believe every single minute, if not maybe I missed 5 minutes of I've watched almost every single minute of Caitlin Clark playing in the WNBA. And from what I've seen, I do not have a stat pad where I am writing down every single forced pass that shouldn't have been a pass and every single drop pass. I am not doing that, okay? From what I have seen, again, I've watched almost every single minute of Caitlin Clark play. Almost every single minute, with the exception of maybe give or take 20 minutes in her entire WNBA career. I've watched it. And from what I have seen, about 50% seems to be bad passes and 50% seems to be teammates doing their thing. Now, I would, if I am wrong, show me the stats because clearly I'm missing something. Because from what I have seen, like again, what I have seen is not 80%. It's not. And if you have a source that says that, cite your source, and I want to see what they're claiming in that 80%. Okay. All right. I'm just saying. So yeah, guys, that's kind of we went on a kind of tangent there. But I wanted to talk about it. I just because like I don't think that this helps anybody to lie and say stuff that's just not true. Like I it's not 80%, guys. It's just not. Like why do you have to? What is this helping? You lying and saying it's 80% her teammate's fault. Like it makes no sense. Just like the lie about Angel. Why are you lying, man? Like it makes no sense. I'm just saying. I am just saying. And both players are fantastic players. I'm just saying, both players are the future of the WNBA. And I'm happy that both players are in the WNBA. Both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And everybody else who are just balling and doing a thing in the W. Okay? All right. Let's love the game. And let's speak facts, man. Let's speak facts. It's unnecessary to do anything else. Because why you lying? It's like there's a meme or something. It's like dude's like, why you always lying? Like, I'm just saying. I am just saying. Okay, guys, let's continue on because we got other stuff. We got other stuff to talk about. Okay, we got other stuff to talk about besides two players. Okay. Janae says, Quita, who they trade my girl Kaiser for? They didn't trade Kaiser. They waived Kaiser. Now, who did they waive Kaiser for? We'll see. We'll see. Michaela says, Quita, they do this in the NBA. People just pushing agendas for their favorite players. Yeah. Barbara says, you have a great channel and trolls try to interrupt good conversation. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. And sometimes I don't recognize it as trolls. I'm like really I really think that somebody really thinks this, and I'm like, what, really? Oh man. Eldones. Oh, thank you so much. You're probably the most balanced WNBA analyst out there. I appreciate that. But there are some fantastic WNBA analysts out there that actually get paid to do this. Oh, thanks, JC. I just got these done over the weekend. So if y'all are wondering why I wasn't posting videos this weekend, that's why. I was getting my hair braided. So usually when I take a weekend off or something like that, it's usually because I'm getting my hair done. Okay. Jordan, I did not, and I can't believe I failed to mention that because I thought Timmy Fagbenle was a huge piece for the Indiana Fever winning. So guys, if you didn't know, Timmy Fagbenle is back. She is back. Her first game back was against the Phoenix Mercury, and I thought she really did help out the squad a lot because she is the next post player up. You have Nalissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston who starts, and if they get in foul trouble, they're tired, they need a breather. You need Timmy Fagbenle to come in the game and bring some positive minutes for this team, and she did just that, guys. She had 10 points in this game. I thought she did a pretty good job. She didn't play that much, but for the minutes that she was in, I love to see it. I'm happy she's back. I'm happy she's healthy. And I am looking forward to I'm sorry. Yeah, not her first game back. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jordan. But yeah, I think it's awesome to see her get back, her playing well, because to me, initially at the beginning of the season, yeah, it made sense for her to start. Now I think it makes sense for her to go into the role that I originally thought she was going to be, that first post player off the bench, to give a breather to both Nalissa and Aaliyah. She gives great minutes, can play defense, can slide her feet. Also, her and Caitlin Clark have a good synergy going in terms of her getting the ball. So I think that's, I think it's pretty awesome to see. I think it really is awesome to see. Barbara says, why they keep on lying? I don't know. Dark says, love Timmy. Yeah, Timmy's great. Yeah. Bremont says, Timmy is a force. She has so much fire. Yeah, she really does. I love to see it. She wasn't taking no crap. She wasn't. And, I think it's fun to watch. I'm not sure, Michaela, if she plays before the Olympic break. I think after the Olympic break, for sure, she's going to be a huge factor. Because, again, she's another post player that's great. Triple X says, I would love a collab with Hunter. You both seem to really know y'all stuff. Yeah, Hunter, I don't know how to say his last name. But, yeah, Hunter is a great journalist for women's basketball. I've seen some of Hunter's stuff. I think it's really, really good stuff. So shout out to Hunter. Shout out to all the awesome, journalists who are just doing their thing. Future Ghost says, where are you from? You pronounce Boston and awesome differently. I do? I'm from Chicago. I don't know. Didi in Tennessee, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, just because Quita. I appreciate you, Didi. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. William, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, any chance Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark could ever be on the same team? I mean, for the All-Star game, yeah. Yeah, for the All-Star game, yeah. All right, guys. That's funny. All right, guys. Let's move on. And let's talk about the Commissioner's Cup. Now, the Commissioner's Cup did happen last Monday. But because it happened on a Monday, I figured I should talk about it for Women's Basketball Weekly for this week because I thought it was a fun game. I thought it was a fun game to watch. Now, if you all did not know, the Minnesota Lynx have won the Commissioner's Cup, and they have won $500,000 to be split amongst themselves. So I think that is going to be really, really fun. Now, guys, let's actually talk about this game in particular. So this game was not held at it was not held in the normal spot where the New York Liberty play. So the New York Liberty usually play at Barclays Arena. Barclays Arena is in Brooklyn, New York. This is where the Brooklyn Nets play. It's where the New York Liberty play. They play all their home games at Barclays Arena. For this game could not be held in Barclays Arena. The reason why is because the NBA draft was being held at Barclays Arena. So because of that, they moved the game from Barclays to UBS Arena, which I believe is on Long Island, which is technically not that far, but from what I have heard from actual New Yorkers, it is very, very far from the game. So instead of seeing a large crowd show up for this game, we just didn't. And the arena itself, it didn't feel like Commissioner's Cup atmosphere. Like, it really didn't. It kind of felt like just like a random game. And personally, I didn't like it a lot. I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing all the empty seats and whatnot that happened. I'm sorry, that game actually happened on Tuesday, I should say, of last week. I didn't like seeing the empty seats. I didn't like seeing what was happening in terms of like the fans who showed up for this game. Now, if you all don't know, let me kind of talk about the fans who showed up. So it was 7,000 fans in attendance for the game. Oh, it's in Queens. I don't know why somebody was telling me Long Island. Again, guys, I don't know. I'm not in I'm not in New York, so I have no idea. All right. Goodness Rated is saying no, it's in Queens. Okay. But either way, it was not in their normal arena. There was not a crazy amount of crowd that showed up for the game. And it was pretty evident from tip-off that it was just like, not the best look for the WNBA to have, the second biggest matchup than the finals happening. Again, Commissioner's Cup, there's $500,000 on the line, and you have to play in an arena that is not your home arena, and your normal fans who would like to go to the game, they could not. They could not go to the game. Okay, so Kristen is saying it was in Long Island. I don't know. Wherever it was at, wherever it was at, it wasn't at the normal spot. And from what I have seen online from people who are from New York, it was far and it was out of the way. This is what they said. And again, I don't know because I don't live in New York, but this is what they were saying. And it's not a good look. It really is not a good look at all for us to see that game happen. So a little comparison in this game. A little comparison. So we take this game and we compare it. 7,000. Again, 7,000 fans were at this game. 7,000 fans. Commissioner's Cup game on a Tuesday. All right, Tuesday evening. And we compare that to the game that happened on the 22nd between the New York Liberty and the LA Sparks. The Sparks, one of the worst teams in the WNBA, versus New York Liberty. The game was at Barclays Arena. There were 13,639 fans in attendance for that game. All right. 13,639 fans in attendance. And for the Lynx versus Liberty game for the Commissioner's Cup, there was only 7,015 fans. CAC, I really do believe that if this game was at Barclays Arena, it would have had their normal crowd. I think the fact that the game was on Tuesday hurt it a lot more for being away from their normal spot, because fans, their normal route, they couldn't take it because you had to deal with you just couldn't do it because you had to take different routes to get where you're going. So far for this season, the New York Liberty are averaging 12,352 fans at their home games. Okay? 12,352 fans on average for their home games this year. Again, the Commissioner's Cup game had about 7,000 fans. So I'm just saying that the arena didn't look good. It really didn't. It didn't look like there was a lot of people there. It wasn't that crazy amount of fanfare about this game. And I want to kind of just start off with that. It was a missed opportunity, I would say, for this game. Now let's go back to the Super Chats. William, thank you so much for the Super Chat. Says, I would support you becoming a TV commentator if I could. I would support you being... if I could figure out a way to do that. If anyone has any ideas, I would be on board with you, Quita. Thank you, William, for that super chat. That's very, 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 very nice of you. Thank you. Abs, I'm gonna say thank you so much for the super chat. Says, who are you predicting it will be on? Be the All-Star game starting 5 on both sides. To be honest with you, I am not in All-Star game mode. Though the All-Star game players will be announced tomorrow, so that's something to note. I don't know. I gotta think about it a little bit more. To be honest with you, I'm really not in All-Star game mode. So if I were to say some names now, I would probably go back on those tomorrow once I actually gave it a think. So not sure, but yeah. Yeah, Kyra. Yeah. Yeah, it says no one wants to be in Long Island. The Barclay Center is a prime location. Love the stadium location. Yeah, it seems to be a good stadium location. Janae, I think she's making the team. I think she's going to make the team. Yeah, I can't imagine her not being on the All Star team. Her meaning Caitlin Clark. I can't imagine Caitlin not being on the team. Jordan, that is incorrect. Jordan, that is incorrect. So it is a split. It is a split between it's 50% fan vote, 25% media vote, and it is 25% player vote. So WNBA players vote, the media votes, and fans vote. All right, that is the split. Okay, let's actually get to the so with the commentary about the location aside, let's actually get to the game itself. So now the game itself, I thought it was a masterpiece of a coaching game by Cheryl Reeve. So if you all don't know, Cheryl Reeve is one of the elder statesmen, I would say, of WNBA coaches. She's been around for a long time, and she has really perfected small ball basketball, and it's really, 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 really fun to see. When we look at this New York Liberty team, they're a team of all stars, right? You have Sabrina Ionescu, you have Jonquil Jones, you have Brianna Stewart, you have Courtney Vandersloot. Like, you have big name talent on this team. You have Benijah Laney Hamilton, Kayla Thornton, who has been doing her thing this year, but you have big names. Two former MVPs in Brianna Stewart and Jonquil Jones teaming up to be on the same team. You have Courtney Vandersloot, who was in the MVP conversation for many years on the team as well. She was back healthy in that game. Not healthy. She wasn't. Health was not her issue. She unfortunately her mom passed recently. Courtney Vandersloot, and she was away from the team, throughout the end of her mom's life, and absolutely still prayers up for Courtney Vandersloot and what her and her family are dealing with. So this Commissioner's Cup game was the first game that we saw Courtney Vandersloot back. But we see a lot of talent on this New York Liberty team, and then you compare that to the Lynx. The Lynx, when it comes to big name talent that everybody knows their name, they only really got one player, Napheesa Collier. Sure, if you watch basketball a lot and you pay attention to WNBA, absolutely Kayla McBride as well. But for the most part, it is just Napheesa Collier that people know, and they know Alyssa Peely, who was drafted and doesn't really play that much. And yet, this team of ragtag players of Napheesa Collier and Alana Smith and Bridget Carlton and Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride, this team, and Xana Lassini, because y'all, I'm a big fan of Xana Lassini. She is good. She is very, very good. She cooked the Chicago Sky yesterday. But this ragtag team of a lot of short players took down one of the best teams in the WNBA. And I think, again, it just shows coaching. When you look at this Minnesota Lynx team play, they play with a man out strategy where you see a lot, they have a lot of shooters in the corners, on the sides, and just shooters just kind of kind of roam around. Lots of 3-point shooting. You have Kayla McBride. You have Bridget Carlton. Fee can knock down a three-pointer here and there. Courtney Williams is more of a mid-range assassin, but she also can step back and hit that three. And this team, with not a lot of fanfare, not a lot of attention, they took down what then was the best team in the WNBA. And they did it through defense, and they did it through 3-point shooting. And when that's working, it's hard to beat them. We talk about the Connecticut Sun, and we talk about how good Connecticut is at defense. Y'all, the Minnesota Lynx, they're going to shut you down. So in that game, Jonquil Jones had a horrible night. She was just bad. I don't think she really scored until towards the end of the game. She only had 3 points in that game. Brianna Stewart was held to 24. She did have a double-double, 24 points and 11 rebounds. Sabrina Ionescu also had a double-double in this one. She had 23 points and 10 rebounds. But for the most part, Kayla Thornton did well as well. She had 17 points. But for the most part, no one else could really get going for this New York Liberty team. They just couldn't get anything going because, yes, they were missing shots, but also the Minnesota Lynx were playing some fantastic defense. They were. They really were. They switch a lot of switching, and they're gonna stay with you, and they're gonna contest, and they're gonna dare you to make some shots. And the New York Liberty just couldn't do it. Now, for the Minnesota Lynx, to me, the reason why they won this game, yes, defense, absolutely. But it was also the ability of Bridget Carlton to hit timely 3-point shots. She hit 6 3-pointers in this game. And it felt like every single one of those was in the right moment. Right moment, right time, bang, here's a 3. She had 23 points in this game, 5 assists, 3 steals. In my opinion, she should have been the MVP of this game. Yes, they gave it to Napheesa Collier. I believe that was wrong. They should not have given it to Napheesa Collier. Napheesa had a good game. She had 21 points in this game, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 assists. Napheesa played well, but was not MVP. If you watched that game and you saw the swings that was happening throughout the game, you saw that the player that kept keeping the minute was Bridget Carlton. It was not Napheesa Collier. So personally, I didn't like the fact that they named Napheesa Collier the MVP. But a thing to note is that the vote for that is actually cast before the game is over. I believe it's when 6 minutes is left in the game. The votes are cast for the MVP, and so that's a thing. And yeah, so Bridget Carlton was my MVP. She was not the official MVP. The official MVP was given to Napheesa Collier. To her credit, she did acknowledge the fact that Bridget Carlton was phenomenal and tried to give it to Bridget, but Bridget was like, no, you won, but it should have been Bridget. It really should have been. I'm just saying, it should have been Bridget Carlton. Teddy is supposed to be for that game. It's supposed to be there for that specific game, and that specific game, it should have been Bridget Carlton. Nope. They actually updated the size of that since you remember when Kelsey Plum won it and it was this small little dainty little thing. They actually upped the size after that. So yeah, it's not that small anymore. And I saw a question about someone asking about ragtag. I can't find it anymore. But I saw a question come through about ragtag and what I meant by that. What I mean by ragtag, I mean it's a assortment of players who've been doubted, players who have players who you wouldn't necessarily think would fit, who come together and do something extraordinary. This is a team, and I don't say ragtag in a negative way. And so if you all are thinking that's a negative, I don't mean it as a negative. I think of it as a crazy positive. because this is a team that, like, if you just look at this team, just look at the names on this team, a lot of women's basketball fans, and I'm not talking about the hardcore WNBA fans who know every play on this team. I'm talking about a lot of the casual WNBA fans. For the most part, they don't really know anybody on this team. They're not a team made up of names. They don't have a lot of stardom. They don't have a lot of fanfare. They just come to work hard, and dominate. You know, they don't do a lot of talking. They don't get a lot of media coverage. Even though they won a Commissioner's Cup, a lot of people still sleeping on them. It's still New York Liberty and Aces. Like, no one cares about Minnesota. But Minnesota is here, and they ain't going nowhere. I'm just saying. They ain't going nowhere. So that's what I meant by ragtag. It's not meant to be an insult. It's meant to be a compliment to the fact that they can still be this dominant team under the radar. So yeah, I'm just saying. All right. So guys, that is my kind of quick take on the Commissioner's Cup. I could talk about this more, but we got to move on, guys. We have to move on. And now, next, I do want to talk about the WNBA standings, where they are right now. Before we do that, let's talk about Neek the Nerd. Neek the Nerd, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, actually gives a super sticker. It is a pear character stretching his arms forward, raising his thumbs. So I think it's probably like this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Really do appreciate that. Neek the Nerd. And also, guys, thank y'all so much for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. It really does go a long way. It really does help the channel out a lot. Your super chats really do help. Because YouTube advertising is actually not that much, unless you get a lot of views. Like, I see some of these WNBA videos that got like 60,000, 100,000, 200,000 views, and I'm like, man, one day, guys, one day. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the standings in the WNBA. Now, in first place, we have the New York Liberty, who are 16-3 on the season. The Connecticut Sun are number 2 at 14-4. They are tied with the Minnesota Lynx, who are also 14-4. The Seattle Storm are 12-6. Las Vegas Aces are trending in the right direction. They are 10-6 on the season. The Phoenix Mercury are now 9 wins and 9 losses. The Atlanta Dream are 7-10. Indiana Fever 8-12. They are one of the rare teams in the WNBA that actually have played half of their season already. So 20 games total played. The Chicago Sky are 6-11. At number 9, the Dallas Wings are 4-14. Los Angeles Sparks are 14-4, and the Washington Mystics are 14-15 on the season. All right, so that is your standings so far. Now, I do want to just talk through. My power rankings, and before we get to that, let's show the intro. So. Guys, with the standings out of the way, let's talk about where my power rankings land. All right, ladies and gentlemen, did y'all like the intro? Shout out to Active Dynamics, Aaron from Active Dynamics, for creating that awesome intro for me. I will leave contact information to Active Dynamics website and email in the comments, in the description, actually. So if y'all want to reach out to Active Dynamics for any sort of creative needs, y'all can absolutely do that. So shout out to them for making a fantastic intro for me for this section. All right, so let's talk about my Power 5 rankings. Now this Power 5 ranking, and at some points it does fit the standings, but in other cases it does not quite fit the standings. And I want to talk through it because I think there really are some teams that are peaking at the right moment, and I want to talk about why I think they're peaking and what's happening there. So at the number one spot, I do have the Minnesota Lynx, and if you're wondering why do you have the Minnesota Lynx, especially because they lost this past week to the Dallas Wings. So now here's the thing. Yes, I do have the Minnesota Lynx. Last week they won the most important game of last week. And that was the Commissioner's Cup game against the New York Liberty. They lost to the Dallas Wings in a pretty close game, and they beat the Chicago Sky yesterday. So for last week, 2 wins, 1 loss. But even with that loss to the Dallas Wings, I still have this Minnesota Lynx team as my number one team because, one, they beat the best team in the W in the New York Liberty. They also won the most important game last week, which was the Commissioner's Cup, because that was actually for $500,000. So that was a huge deal right there. And the Lynx are just continuing to show us that they are a fantastic defensive-minded team. They are a team that can score from multiple people in that team that can score. Bridget Carlton can score like crazy in that Commissioner Cup game. We saw what Bridget Carlton was able to do. Kayla McBride has had huge games this season, like really, really hitting that 3-point shot. Nafisa Collier is another player who absolutely can ball and is, in my opinion, if the MVP vote was right now, she'd be my second pick. Asia Wilson, of course, is the first pick for MVP, but Nafisa Collier is playing some fantastic basketball, and she really is leading the squad, and she's doing a great job at it. It's not just on the offensive end, but it's the way that the Minnesota Lynx are playing defense that is really just setting them apart. So yes. So yeah, that's kind of what I think from there. Yes, the Minnesota Lynx did lose a game, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still think they are the best team in the WNBA right now. And that's my power rankings. All right. So it's not just about records. It's about kind of who I feel is sort of peaking at the right moment. And it's the Minnesota Lynx that are peaking. All right. So next up in my number 2 spot, I have the New York Liberty. So the New York Liberty, they go 1 of 1 from last week. And the reason why I have them as my number 2 is because I believe they're the second best team in the W right now. This team they're doing their thing. They went several games without Courtney Vandersloot, and even last week, she's not like back, like fully back and playing her normal minutes. But what this team has been able to do is just fantastic to see. We see Kayla Thornton. She slots in that starting lineup position and plays well. She plays absolutely well. She does not make herself a liability. She can hit that 3-point shot, and she looks really, really good. You have a player like, Brianna Stewart, who was, the reigning MVP from last season, doing her thing. You have Jonquel Jones. So yes, absolutely, Jonquel Jones did have a abysmal game against the Minnesota Lynx in that Commissioner's Cup game. But overall, guys, Jonquel Jones is fantastic. She really is. And she's had spurts of phenomenal play this season. You have Sabrina Ionescu, who I keep talking about Sabrina Ionescu and how she has evolved as a player from last year to this year. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. I really am loving what I'm seeing from Sabrina Ionescu. And it's awesome. You, again, as I talked about already, you have Kayla Thornton, who is showing up and showing out, doing whatever she needs to do, playing defense, hitting 3-point shots. Like, she's just, whatever Sandy needs from her, she does it, and she does it well. You have Benijah Laney Hamilton, who is one of the best actors in the WNBA. She's gonna try her best to get whatever call she wants to get. But jokes aside, like Benijah is, one of the tough defenders for the New York Liberty. She is a player who can get to her spots and hit those shots. And I think it's awesome to see. I think it really is awesome to see what the New York Liberty is doing. All right, next up we have the Las Vegas Aces. And I know some people are like, what? Why is Las Vegas Aces number 3 when they have a not so good record? Yes, this team is 10 has 10 wins and 6 losses on the season so far. And yes, absolutely. Normally that is not good. I am one to say that's not a good number. But power rankings is a week by week basis, and it's not about overall how teams are, or it's not like for the whole season how teams are doing. It's recently how teams are doing, and ever since we've seen Chelsea Gray come back to this team, they look very different. This team looks very different. They're winning games. And it's not just about winning; it's about how they play. And I think we're seeing an awesome team in the Las Vegas Aces. The fact that they have Chelsea Gray back, the fact that she's not even doing she's not even back to her normal self. It's just her presence, her sheer presence on the court is making a huge difference. It's not all on Asia Wilson no more. Because her point guard is back, and this team is gonna be doing, like, they're already doing well. They're already doing well, and are way better in the last couple of games they've played. Now that Chelsea Gray is back, so that's something that I thought was pretty awesome. The fact that she's back and the fact that they're looking good, and it's not even all about Chelsea Gray. I think it's just about her presence. And that's like the big thing. A thing to note, guys, is that we will see the Las Vegas Aces play the Indiana Fever tomorrow. Now, guys, a quick thing to note about that game is that I will actually be doing a post-game live stream with Bleacher Report after that game is over, which is basically at midnight. So after that game is over, y'all should head over to Bleacher Report's app and listen to me break down the game. I probably will do a majority of the game as play-by-play, but then I'll have to hop off and go on Bleacher Report. All right? So check me out on Bleacher Report Tuesday after the Aces versus Fever game. Also, shout out to Bleacher Report. They're like the only media brand that is really rocking with me, and I appreciate it. All right. So let's continue on. I want to make this actually a little bit faster because we have been on this stream for a very long time, and I don't want this to be that long of a show. All right, let's move on to the Seattle Storm. So I have the Seattle Storm as my number 4. The reason why is because they're playing good basketball. They are absolutely playing good basketball. They beat the Fever. They beat the Wings last week, this is a team that can struggle. This is a team that absolutely can struggle. But I see way more positives than I see negatives for the Seattle Storm. Now, I will say though that for the Storm team to be successful, they have to see a lot more from Jewell Loyd, and she has been showing up. She has been showing up in that game against the Wings. Jewell Loyd, I believe she had like 30 points in that game, and she's been absolutely doing her thing. But they need her to consistently be great for this team to continue to be rocking and rolling. But the Seattle Storm, I mean, they have the kind of the trifecta. You have a player like a Nneka Ogwumike, who can do her thing down low. Her and Ezgi McMagor You have Jewel Lloyd, who can shoot. You have Skylar Diggins-Smith, who is just sort of keeping this team all together. You have Jordan Horston, who I am just loving watching Jordan Horston play. I think she is a phenomenal player and really is. It really is a great thing to see her continuing to evolve as a player and get better and better and better and better. So again, if Jewel Lloyd keeps doing this, the Seattle Storm are going to seriously be in the conversation for a run at the championship this year. So that's just something to note. That is just something to note. Guys, the team that has fell all the way to 5th in my rankings is the Connecticut Sun. The reason why it's the Connecticut Sun is because Connecticut has just been on a losing streak. They are, this team was 13-1. They had a great start to the season, and then it was loss after loss after loss after loss. Janae says Quita don't hype Seattle up. I mean, to me, there's I think they're phenomenal. I don't think they're a team that needs hype. I think sleep on Seattle at your own peril. Before the season started, I had this Seattle team going far. The reason why is because, again, you got 3 fantastic players, fantastic players. So I don't think much hype is needed because I think they're a team that is not. I put Seattle, to be honest with you, I put Seattle on the same, not on the same level, but right up there with the Aces and the Liberty in terms of teams that are playing the way I expect. I expect when it's all said and done, the New York Liberty to be at the top of the standings. I expect the Las Vegas Aces to be at the top of the standings. I expect the Seattle Storm to be right up there because they have some high octane talent on their team. It's just about figuring out how to make that stuff work and get some wins across. So the Minnesota Lynx, I think, is a team that people sleep on. So I hype them up because I think people really sleep on them. I really do. So yeah. Anyway, guys. Anyway. Let's go on to the Connecticut Sun. Now, for the Connecticut Sun, they are struggling big time. Absolutely struggling big time. When we look at this Connecticut Sun, they started off the season with 2 things, right? Defense as their core structure, and Alyssa Thomas being Alyssa Thomas, and DeWanna Bonner being DeWanna Bonner. And for the last several games, we haven't seen that. I think it all started with the Connecticut Sun. They went to the West Coast. And I felt like that just, I don't know what happened on the West Coast, but they just started losing. So, yeah. I don't think that they're doing much of anything. They lost, they lost quite a bit. So I'm just saying, guys. I don't know about the Connecticut Sun. Yeah, when we watched this team play early in the season, it was they were running at the speed of Alyssa Thomas. She was making good passes to her team. We saw DeWanna Bonner completely doing her thing. We saw Brianna Jones. We saw Dejanay Carrington continue to play well as well. And the last couple of games, I felt like DeWanna has been off. It felt like Alyssa Thomas has not been her normal self. Sometimes Brianna Jones get touches, sometimes she doesn't. And that's the core three for this team. And for this team to be successful, you need those three to play well. And they haven't. And so that's the result. Because they haven't, we're seeing the skid that they're on right now. So, that's just something. That is just something to note. JJ says Dejanay is fire. Yeah, Dejanay is a really good player. She is. Jordan says no one knew who Dejanay was until the Fever game. I mean, Jordan, I think you're right for some people. I don't know. I didn't know she was as good as she was, but I've known her since Baylor. I've known her since Baylor. But I think you're right though in the sentiment that a lot of people didn't know her until that Fever game. But also I think a lot of like newer fans didn't know of anybody until they played the Fever. Like I think that's a fair comment to make, because when we look at it, we see record-breaking attendance when the Fever rolls through. So it's we see numbers up the wazoo. So I do think that that's probably the case for a lot of players and a lot of teams that a good amount of the fans watching didn't know who these players were. I'm glad they know now. I'm glad they know today. Frank. Yeah. Frank says Dejanay needs to Dejanay needs to sign a extension with the Connecticut Sun. I really do think she needs to, because she is fantastic. I think Donald is in an early part of the episode when I was talking about Yolanda Griffith. Yeah, Yolanda Griffith is fantastic, guys. I think I should do a in the history books about Yolanda Griffith, because she truly did pioneer like big women in the W, like how you play as a post. I was a big fan of Yolanda Griffith. She was not as big of a fan as I was of Lisa Leslie, but yeah, Yolanda Griffith could ball. She could absolutely ball. All right, guys, that is my top 5. Now I just want to show y'all my Power 12. That is my power rankings for top 12 teams. Again, number 1, Minnesota Lynx. Number 2, New York Liberty. Number 3, Las Vegas Aces. Number 4, Seattle Storm. Number 5, Connecticut Sun. Number 6, Phoenix Mercury. The reason why I have the Indiana Fever at number 7 and Phoenix at number 6 is because yes, the Indiana Fever did beat the Phoenix Mercury. I still think that I keep saying Minnesota. I still think that the Mercury have more momentum. I still think they have more momentum than the Indiana Fever right now, at least. I want to see more from Indiana to move them up to my number 6 spot. Number 8 got the Chicago Sky. Number 9, the Atlanta Dream. Number 10, the Dallas Wings. Number 11, the Washington Mystics. And number 12, at the bottom, the Los Angeles Sparks. All right, so that is who I have for my power rankings. Let me know y'all thoughts about that. Y'all have any thoughts about what's happening on that front? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Before we end this, I do want to talk about WNBA transactions, because guys, it is never a dull day in the WNBA. It's never a dull day. It's never a dull day. It's always something happening in the W, something happening for us to talk about. And one of those things is, transactions. So because of that, we about to talk about it, okay? We about to talk about some transactions. And before we do, I do want to pull up the transactions page so you all can see what's happening on that front. And also, guys, if there's anything else that's very particular to this past week in women's basketball that y'all want to talk about, let me know in the comments below. And I will try my best to get to it before we end this stream. So let me know y'all comments about, I don't know, whatever y'all want to talk about. Let me know. All right, while I pull this up. All right. Okay. All right, let's talk about transactions. So when it comes to transactions in the WNBA, we have seen quite a bit. All right. We have seen quite a bit. So, if you all did not know, we've seen some. Yeah, there we go. We've seen some transactions even today. Jessica Carter was waived by the Las Vegas Aces today. She was just signed by the Aces, and now she got waived. It's a tough game to stay in the WNBA. When we see conversations about staying in the WNBA, it's hard. It's specifically hard for young players. It's hard for them to make it in the league. And Jessica Carter is a player who, got picked up by the Las Vegas Aces after they cut Deasia Fair, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe Jessica is gonna get an opportunity. Clearly, she must not have been performing in practice or something, and we end up seeing her not on a squad anymore. It's a bummer of a news. When we talk about the WNBA, it's a tough thing to make a squad, and it's not even your job is not even over. It's not even over after you make the squad, because you gotta stay on that squad. You gotta stay on. And for Jessica Carter, she was unable to do that for the Las Vegas Aces, so she was waived by the team today. And also, Queen Egbo was also waived by the Los Angeles Sparks today as well. Or not today. That actually happened on Saturday. Now the thing to note, guys, is when I see a lot of people talking about people getting waived, and they're like, why is this person getting waived? Why so fast and all this other stuff? A thing to note, guys, is that once teams hit the middle part of the season, the mid part of the season, again, guys, that's WNBA has 40 games, so once you hit that mid part, all non-guaranteed contracts become guaranteed. All right. And because of that, teams, as they're getting closer to that metric, they're like, oh crap, you need to make your decision, and you need to make it fast about who you're keeping and who you're not, because once you pass that midpoint, now that salary becomes guaranteed. So now you're stuck. So that's why you see a lot of these teams cutting players, because they're like, actually, I don't see us keeping you for the remainder of the season, so I need to cut you now before we hit that midway part, because otherwise I'm gonna have to pay you, for the rest of the season. So that's why we're seeing cuts from these various teams. So hopefully that is helpful. Yes, the Las Vegas Aces are gonna get somebody else. I think they might end up waiting on who else they're going to get, because whoever else they're going to get, that person is probably going to be with the team for the rest of the season, because they're going to hit that midway mark and going to kind of be stuck in a way. So yeah, that's something to note. Quita Egbo, she was waived on Saturday, June 29th, and like like Jeremy said, yes, Queen Egbo did indeed get cut on her birthday. Now this is kind of tough to hear. Like, oh man, that sucks to get cut on your birthday. It's like you having a birthday. You go into work, you all excited or whatever, and then your boss calls you in and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cut you." Like, that has to be demoralizing. That has to be tough to experience, and that just sucks all around. All around, that just sucks to be cut on your birthday. Yeah, it's not fun at all to be cut. Period. But specifically to get cut on your birthday is just, it's not great. It's really not great. Now, guys, Queen Egbo is not the only player to have gotten cut on her birthday. I do believe Teresa Plaisance was cut on her birthday as well. So yeah, that's something to know. Queen Egbo was cut on her birthday. Teresa Plaisance in the past was cut on her birthday. And we'll see which other players kind of get cut as the season kind of goes on. Now, I do want to talk about some of the other stuff that happened that you guys probably by now should know about. We saw Jakia Brown-Turner. She signed a rest of the season hardship contract with the Washington Mystics. Kaiser Gondrzick was waived by the Chicago Sky. That happened on Friday. Last Wednesday, Maya Caldwell signed a rest of the season contract with the Atlanta Dream, and Crystal Dangerfield was waived by the Atlanta Dream. The rest of these, I feel like y'all probably should know. Odyssey Sims signed a rest of the season hardship contract with the Dallas Wings, and Celeste Taylor was waived by the Indiana Fever. They also set Damaris Dantas to active that day as well. All right, so those are some of the things that you all should know. But yeah, that's kind of some of the conversations that I thought y'all should know about. Now let's see what y'all got. Let's see what y'all got in the comments. What did y'all want me to talk about? Let me go through here real quick. Timothy says, we're starting to see how Liz Kidley absence is starting to affect the Aces. I think they should go after Monica Sanano. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know how like game ready Monica Sanano is. Like, that's no shade, but I mean, I haven't seen Monica play overseas or anything like that, so I don't know what Monica Sanano has been doing. So I would say no on that one. Yeah, I would say no on that one, because again, she was drafted to the WNBA last season, didn't make the squad. I am not sure what she is doing now, but I don't think it's related to like I don't think she's been playing ball like that. Or maybe she has. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of like out of the loop on Monica Sanano. Though I do know she did go to an Aces game recently. I do know that. Let's see. Let's see what y'all got to say. I'm just trying to scroll through these and see what y'all... Jaya says, how do teams bid on wave players? They reach out to the player's agent and then work out a deal. It's not like a bidding war thing or anything, because usually one team wants a player, especially during the season. So, like, yeah. Jordan says, does overseas women's basketball go on year-round? No, not really. For the most part, European and Asian leagues are during the off season, roughly, for the WNBA. Again, that's roughly. But it's not really off. It is off. It is all year if you also include the WNBA in there. William, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, why do you think they got rid of Taylor? Bad idea. I assume you mean Celeste Taylor, so that's how I'm going to interpret that question. But if you don't mean Celeste Taylor, let me know in the comments. To be quite honest with you, I am not totally well. One, they had to waive somebody. They had to get rid of somebody because they wanted to bring in Damaris Dantas, and a WNBA team cannot have 12 active players on a roster at a time. In making Damaris Dantas active, that meant you're at 13 players active. So they had to waive somebody. I am of the mind that it shouldn't have been Celeste Taylor, or at least they should have given Celeste Taylor more opportunities in games to kind of prove herself that she could do something. Because she really is a defensive specialist, and they could have actually used that quite a bit. So they had to waive somebody because they wanted to bring Damaris Dantas active. So that's kind of why. But to be quite honest with you, I think they should have given her more of a chance to prove herself, because again, she is a defensive specialist, and this team does need defense, and so that could have helped out a lot, in my opinion. Let's see. Jordan says WNBA should be $150K minimum. Well, Jordan, that only happens if people like me and you go to games. If all, how many people is on this chat? If all 230 people who are on here right now, if everybody goes to games, if everybody buys season tickets, if everybody gets merch and whatnot, and as we tell more people about it, and as they do the same, these players are going to get paid more. The reason why the players are getting paid what they're getting paid is because the WNBA ain't making no money. The WNBA is not making any money at all. Now, this year, this is going to be the first year that they should make some money. But I really do think that if we want the WNBA players to make more money, we have to buy tickets. We have to buy merch. We have to financially support the league. And so I really am a big believer in that, and that's why I've been paying for season tickets for forever, and before I could afford season tickets, I've been buying, I've either bought myself or got my parents to buy me tickets to games. So I think that, we absolutely, yeah, I want players to get paid more, sure. But I know that in order for us to do that, we need more people to financially support. We need more people to financially support. It's not just about, watching games on TV. Because viewership brings in money due to advertising and whatnot, and due to TV deals and whatnot. But it's way more money in selling out. If we can get all these arenas sold out, every game, that's going to help. And then we get teams like the Atlanta Dream to move from their abysmal small stadium. The Washington Mystics to move from their abysmal small stadium. The Dallas Wings, they're already planning on moving. But, that only happens if they see the fans go out, support, sell out every game. And then they are like, you know what? We feel confident that we can move up. So it's not just about going to see Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever play, which is good. Absolutely. That's fantastic. But, going out to more games, going out and supporting with your dollar and letting people know that, hey, I value this so much that I'm going to give them my money to support this league, and support these women. And it's not like a charity. It's they're entertaining to watch. It's fun to watch. I mean, I am biased because I'm a big women's basketball fan. I've always been. So yes, I am a little bit biased on that front. But I think women's basketball is lit. Women's basketball been lit for years, and I'm happy that people are finding out about it. And I think that we need more people to support it. Speaking of women's basketball been lit, I do have a T-shirt on my merch store, QLSapparel.com, and I do have a shirt that says jokes on you, women's basketball been lit. That's what the shirt says. So if y'all want to pick up that shirt, y'all can do that at QLSapparel.com. That would be pretty awesome. David says Houston Comets were fire back then. Yeah, they were. They were. All right, let's see what else. What other comments y'all have? I'm trying to go up in the comments. Debbie, yes, I've been watching Damaris Dantas play for years in the WNBA. Yeah, I think she's a really fantastic player. Oh, Timothy says she's been playing overseas. I watched her preseason game last year, and she absolutely shocked. Actually, shocked she didn't make the. I assume you're talking about Monica Sonano. If so, that is fantastic. I have, I felt like I was privy to what all players are doing overseas, but I was not. I didn't pay attention to that. So thank you so much for making me aware of that. David, it's not better. It's just that they make money. They make more money. So that's why they play overseas. Eddie, I think they do. I think they do. Yeah, I think they do. William, thanks so much for the super chat. Says if we want the NBA to make more, maybe you mean the WNBA, WNBA to make more money, we also need to not fight amongst ourselves as fans who is the best player, especially not bringing race into it. Nobody wins when that happens. I mean, William, I agree with you. I mean, personally, I agree. I am not a fan of people talking about race when we're talking about when we're talking about basketball. Like, I just don't. I think when we talk about basketball, we should talk about basketball. We shouldn't talk about politics. We shouldn't talk about race. We shouldn't talk about nothing else. We should talk about basketball. Now, people disagree with me. There's a lot of people who disagree with me saying that statement. A lot of people disagree. But you know, I think you're right. I think you are right, William. I think that there is a lot of infighting in the WNBA. Infighting amongst fans and whatnot, and I think it's unnecessary. But at the same time, like, you know, there was a whole race thing with Magic and Bird, and you saw how that helped the NBA. And so, you know, maybe it helps the WNBA or whatever. But either way, I am personally not a fan of it. I personally don't care for it. And so that's why you're not gonna see comments about race unless I feel like it actually really does affect the basketball of it. Because I don't think it's necessary. It's just not. Like, it's just like I don't care. Like, I don't care about someone's skin color. I care about how they play on the court. And I think a lot of people, I think most regular people care about the court. But other people want everything to be racial, want everything to be political. Personally, I'm not into that. And I think if that's what you're into, you know, cheers to you or whatever. But like, that's not my thing. That's not my thing. Now, William, I disagree with the fact that, like, I don't disagree with we all should get along. I think we all should, but we're all not gonna get along. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I think people feel however they feel or whatever, and you know, it's not like we can't expect women's basketball to be like a crazy kumbaya thing, because it's just not. Not everybody's gonna get along. A lot of people are gonna hate each other. And to be quite honest with you, I do think a good amount of it is outside agitators who just want to stick their claws on something and be upset about something. So that's kind of my feelings about it. That's kind of my feelings about it. Let's see. I'm trying to see what I'm trying to go up in the comments to see what I missed. The Sky did trade Copper. Yeah, the Sky did trade Copper. Donald, no, I don't think Copper wishes she stayed at I don't think she wishes she stayed in Chicago. No, she asked Copper asked to leave, so and they granted her wish. Hey, we got a good end of the stick in terms of a draft pick. So I'm just saying, you know. YouTube says Klay Thompson signed with Dallas. Luka, Kyrie, and Klay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Dallas Mavericks are looking very different. They're looking very different. I don't think there's really necessarily improves that much from this past year, but we'll see. We'll see if they can re-sign most of their main players from this past year. All right, it feels very difficult to try to find all the comments, so I'm going to just go down to the most recent stuff and see what y'all got to say. Cloud says Copper living her life in Arizona. Yeah. Yeah, I think she's having a good time. Above the Clouds says some of the success Minnesota is having this year is directly related to overseas play. Money is good over there, but also great player development slash chemistry opportunities. Example, Collier and Alana Smith. Yeah. I mean, I do think that helps quite a bit. Yeah, I think that helps. TG with the soda says, we might not all get along, but there is still room for basic respect for each other. I agree. Facts. I don't know how much more I can agree with that comment. Yes, absolutely. And I agree with this. Yes. Quita says diversity of opinion is a good thing. I agree with that too. And just because you disagreed on me, you necessarily hate anybody. But also, I do think that some people are like intentionally bringing animosity to the situation when it's not necessary. Aiden says that the Chicago Sky buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. They're neither. I don't think the Sky are buying or selling at all. I think they're just looking to get somebody. They're looking on the waiver line and seeing who they could pick up for that 12th spot. I don't think they're trading anybody. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I mean, for the most part, you don't see that many trades in the WNBA. You just don't. So I don't really think any teams are really buying or selling. They're just trying to see if they need to cut somebody on their roster, and if they do, who they're going to pick up. I don't really see any trades happening. All right, guys. I think we might be nearing the end of our conversation. Andre says Angel Reese will be the best future player in the WNBA. Like the outright best. I mean, we'll see. we will. We will see. I don't know about that. Um, One, because I really do think that when it comes to the future of the WNBA, absolutely, Angel Reese is going to be a top player. Absolutely, absolutely, top player. In the W. Like she is, and I hope she stays with the Sky forever. I think she's going to be fantastic. The best player in the WNBA, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Timothy says, I know Lexi Brown is injured right now, but I think that's someone the Sky should target. The Sky just be just a couple threes away from winning. Lexi will help the Chicago a lot. Well, Lexi has a I forgot the exact name of the illness that she has, but to be honest with you, if I'm a team, if I'm a GM, I'm not traded for Lexi Brown because with the illness that she has, is she doesn't you never know when it's going to flare up, um, and that's something that is you know she has to kind of deal with for forever. So she's out right now for her illness, um, and who knows when she's going to be back. I believe they said she's out indefinitely, so who really knows? And that's something that like I would not trade for her because you just don't know her availability. Um, Thank you, Crohn's disease. Yeah, that's what Lexi Brown has, and right now she's out indefinitely from the LA Sparks, and like I wouldn't trade for her because you just don't know. The Sky need a player that can play right now, and make some stuff happen, and absolutely, uh, guys, please be praying for Lexi Brown and her uh, physical body, and her sort of dealing with this thing, and she's kind of done some talking about dealing with that and how that's affected her this past season and whatnot. So absolutely, please be praying for Lexi Brown. But because of the illness that she has, I just don't see, I just really don't see a team trading for her, even though healthy Lexi Brown, yes, does have a lot to offer. Absolutely. Man, William is killing it with the super chats. Thank you so much, William. William says, I think that when you have talked about race, like in Idaho, when that awful thing happened, you were balanced and right on point, uh, perfectly done and appropriate given what happened to talk about it. Yeah, yeah. I try to just if I'm gonna talk about race or whatever, I'm gonna just try to be very straight to the point or whatever. Because to be honest with you, I don't enjoy talking about it. Like I just don't. Like I think there's some people who love talking about race and love talking about politics and whatnot, and I just don't. so so yeah, sure. If I feel like I have to talk about it, sure, and it's like specifically related to the game and whatnot, sure. But you know, um, for the most part, I'm not. And this is no shade to the people who do. Like this is not me judging them or anything. It's just not me. But I appreciate the super chats, William. You are killing it today. You are killing it today. Um, Francis says, I really appreciate everything you do, Kuda. Well, I appreciate you, Francis. I appreciate you leaving that comment. No, seriously, guys, I appreciate all y'all. For everybody who has hit the like button on a video, for everybody who has um, subscribed to this channel, for everybody who has given a super chat, thank you. For everybody who has joined Patreon, thank you. Truly, like this is an awesome channel, and I love talking to y'all. I love geeking out about women's basketball and having great conversations, and looking up random stuff in history and watching all the games and all that stuff. Like, guys, I'm loving it. Like, I used to be like very, very like, I mean, I've always been a big women's basketball fan, but I feel like now, since I've been doing this channel, I'm watching almost every single game. Whereas in the past, yeah, I would watch a bunch of games, but like I wouldn't watch like almost every single game. Like, but now because I got this channel and whatnot, I like, guys, I want to be on it, and I want to make sure that the stuff that I'm saying to y'all is correct, because I'm actually watching the games for myself, and I am I don't really have a notebook next to me when I'm watching these games, so I think you know but like everything's inputting in my mind. Everything is inputting in my mind. I love like I've been going to sleep to a lot of women's basketball. I wake up, watch women's basketball. Like it's just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And the fact that there are games on at the same time and all that stuff, it kind of screws me up. And like the Sky, like yesterday's game with the Sky played at the same time as the Fever played. So I couldn't watch the game live, but come home, gotta watch the game, gotta know what I'm talking about to talk about the game, and not just that game, but the other games as well. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with everything that's happening in the game of women's basketball, and I there's some stuff that I failed to cover, which I want to. There's so much that I want to talk about, not just in the WNBA but in college too, and it's just a lot, and I can't get to it all. But I appreciate y'all so much for rocking with me. I really do. Guys, there are some games that are happening today that I want to make sure, before we leave, I want to make sure that we talk about, so you all can know. So the Connecticut Sun play the Phoenix Mercury. That game is at 9 p.m. Central, which is happening in 8 minutes. And we also have the Dallas Wings versus the Seattle Storm, also happening at 9 p.m. Central, which is, again, in a couple of minutes. So, guys, I hope you all plan on watching those games. I will be watching both. Probably try to do a side-by-side type of deal for that game. That would be pretty awesome. Brett says, a viewer said that you're the most balanced WNBA analyst. I agree. You mentioned that there are other great analysts. Do you mind if I ask who they are? I'm catching up at 1.5 speed. Yeah, I would say I am a fan of a lot of people. So one, Carolyn Peck, gigantic fan of Carolyn Peck. She does have a very, very heavy Las Vegas Aces bias. One, that's because the Las Vegas Aces are paying her salary because she does do the home games for the Aces games. But overall, I do think she does some really, 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 really good coverage. I would say, oh my goodness, how am I blanking out? I'm blanking out on these names. There's like a big three that work at ESPN. Chinea McKay. You got dang it, I'm forgetting their names. I forgot. But there's a lot of people who do some really good coverage for the W. Guys, I gotta make a separate video about that because I'm blanking out on everybody's name. It's just kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing to watch this stuff and then forget people's names to shout them out. Y'all, I know some of y'all are not a fan of Rebecca Lobo. I like Rebecca Lobo. She does have a heavy UConn bias. She really does. She has a UConn bias. And that's something that you gotta keep that in mind. Carolyn has a Aces bias. Rebecca Lobo has a heavy UConn bias. I don't know if they would say that about themselves, but like just sort of listening to what they have to say. I like both of them. I think they're great. But they do have some biases in their conversation, and yeah, that's fine. Like I don't think that's like a bad thing. It's just a thing. I don't think it's possible to be like crazy like straight balanced or whatever. Andrea Carter, that's the person I was thinking about. Andrea Carter. Yes, y'all, if y'all have not listened to Andrea Carter break down a game, like listen to her. Like she is phenomenal. One, she's entertaining, and two, she is just like, she's really, 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 really good at her job. Like I am a giant fan of Andrea Carter. That was the person I was trying to think of. Like she is fantastic. Like absolutely fan freaking tastic. Like I think she's probably like when it comes down to my favorite analyst, she's probably like the number one, like in terms of like people who are on TV. I think she's really, really good. But yeah, Chanae, Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter. I think those people are fantastic. And I really like the big three thing that they're building. They interact with fans at home and whatnot. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Shout out to all the people who actually cover women's basketball for a living. I think that's so cool. Like, I mean, how awesome would that be to just focus on that and whatnot. I think that's pretty awesome. With China Robinson, another player who's also really good. Ryan Ruocco, I feel like Ryan Ruocco does everything. Like, this man just doesn't sleep. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. He's always doing something. Whether that's WNBA, NBA, I think he does some other sports as well. He's just everywhere. But one day, guys, I hope to be like them. When I grow up, I want to be like them. Cloud, that would be awesome. Fun fact, did you know that Anissa Morrow was at the Sky Game yesterday? She was sitting right next to Angel Reese's mom. I don't think I said that in the I don't think I said that in the stream yesterday when I did it, but yeah, she's at the game yesterday. But yeah, if she came to Chicago, that'd be awesome. All right, guys. All right. Brown Sugar Bay, I appreciate that. That's a very high compliment, and I really do appreciate it a lot. The Sky play again tomorrow. Yeah, they play on Tuesday. Yeah, they play the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta. So that game should be pretty fun. It's at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central, or 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Bree says, Quita, love the merch. I have to place an order. Yes, please do, guys. If y'all want some merch, y'all can get it at qlsapparel.com. It is a great place to go to get some awesome, not even WNBA, awesome women's basketball related merch. It's a way to let the people know that you are rocking with the W. And guys, if y'all want an example, check out this shirt. This is my Anybody Can Get Got shirt. Respect the motto. It's pretty awesome. All right, Mr. President I think he wants to. Guys, here's Mr. President. He needs to get he really does need to get groomed. he looks very, very scruffy. Very, very scruffy. All right, everybody's saying who y'all like on for commentator. That's awesome. I appreciate y'all. All right, Mr. President wants to get walked, so I do believe I have to go. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Monica McNutt is great too. Yes. Shout out to Monica McNutt. I think again, she's another one of those people who is just so knowledgeable about the game, and also she knows how to like speak TV, and she knows what is what she needs to say that's entertaining, but also she stays with like the facts too, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, that was straight up popcorn right there. And the whole time I was like, let's go, Monica. You do your thing, girl. You do your thing. Yeah, I really do loved it. I really do love it. Destiny says, Quita, you have the best YouTube page for WNBA content by far. I appreciate that. Like, there's a lot of people on YouTube who are doing a thing for women's basketball content. I try my best, but I appreciate y'all. I really do. Aiden says, whenever I turn on the TV, I see Ryan Ruocco. I mean, yeah, Ryan Ruocco is always doing something. He is always doing something. All right, guys. He's a snoodle. He's a snoodle. Doesn't look like it because he needs a severe haircut, but he is a snoodle. All right, guys. He is telling me I gotta go, so I gotta go, guys. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. I really don't take it for granted, you guys' support of my channel and like what we're trying to do here. Like my goal is to grow the game of women's basketball. Like it's to grow the game of women's basketball, not just in terms of like sheer number of fans, but like in terms of the knowledge about the game, the understanding about what's happening in the game. And so I just want to, I hope that this channel is that for you guys. I want this to be a place where you can go to just learn about what's happening without all the spin, without all the craziness, without all the theatrics and all that stuff. Just what's happening, what's some history, what's been happening in the game, like how, like, yeah. So I really do appreciate y'all. Sasquatch says, I agree. The quality of Quita content, no drama, just news and education. Like that's my point. Like that's what I want. That is my goal. That is my goal, to just, you know, yeah, education, news, history, and just grow the game. You know, one video at a time, one live stream at a time, all that good stuff. Me and Mama, that's how I go. And she's not always on the channel, but you know, she when she's not busy, which she is very busy. When she's not busy, she'll hop on the channel and rock with me, and rock with all y'all. But yeah, she sends her love. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us. Yeah, I gotta go walk these dogs. All right, until next time, guys. I really do appreciate it. You know, be good, be nice to someone. Show someone, you know, that they matter. Show someone that they're important, because they are. I pray that you guys have a fantastic evening. Wake up tomorrow and do great exploits. Be great at your job. Be great at school. Be great at whatever y'all about to do tomorrow. All right? Thank y'all. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.